Welcome to Trade the Trend, a weekly video about where the stock market is going. This video is going to focus on the SP 500. I'm going to cover the ASX 200 as well as copper, gold and uranium in a separate video. I'll leave a link for that in the description section below. As always, this is general commentary, doesn't take your personal situation into account. With all of that said, let's get into our first chart. So I got the SP 500. Market remains in consolidation mode. And that's been the case really for the last 4 weeks. We've seen prices trading in quite a narrow range, which is a bit different to what we've seen in for much of the last couple of months, where we had quite a bit of upward momentum. And I think this sort of like sideways trading that we're seeing, it really is to be expected after such strong gains off those October lows. And sustainable rallies, well, I think the thing to always bear in mind is sustainable rallies always have pauses. They're very much a part of every healthy advance. And I think the question now is how much more consolidation is coming, or are stocks about to take off again? And I think, well, when I look at this, the S&P 500, it is creeping its way up to a new high. So we had a new high last week. We're getting close to getting to there again. You come across, we compress this a bit. We look at the all-time high back from January 2021. That's just a fraction above last week's high point. So there's some pretty clear targets, particularly that big all-time high from January 22. It's entirely possible that the market has a lunge at those targets. They're very much in range from where we currently are. I'm just not sure there's been enough consolidation to sustain another large rally. Often what happens when we get a market that travels from below the moving averages to above, and you can go back, get up a chart, and you can do this yourself. See what happens. I'm using the 15 to 100-day moving averages. See what happens when a market cycles from below to above. What often happens is that before too long, the market will come back and retest those moving averages. Doesn't always happen, but it is what we usually see. We usually get some sort of a retest before another rally of substance, and that hasn't happened here. And also another thing worth being aware of is when we put an RSI on, so a relative strength indicator, a 14-day RSI. So I was talking about this. I think I was talking about this last week, and what to keep in mind here is if this market does follow through and make a new high, look where the RSI is relative to its recent peak. It's a long way below. So if the market were to make a new high, it's entirely likely that it won't be confirmed by a new high in the RSI. So then that sets up a situation of potentially getting some bearish divergence coming in. Now, I think the odds do favour more consolidation over the next several weeks. S&P 500, it did have that exceptionally strong period, and these strong periods often require time for the market to consolidate those gains. And as I said last week, I don't think that what we're looking at now, I just don't think this is an asymmetric entry point, the S&P 500. That said, there's no doubt the trend is up. The trend is up. I think the play here is to keep holding stocks that have been rising. Keep holding stocks in your portfolio that have been working for you, and use stop losses that give those stocks room to move. And I think this is the best way to sort of keep the upside potential open whilst also managing risk. So it's not about coming in and saying, oh, the market's got a top here, let's take profit. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does shoot through. In which case I still want to have exposure. So let winning stocks run, but then use trailing stops to catch them if the market does come back significantly. If it just happens to continue pausing, well, that's right. That's okay. The wide stop helps you see that off before hopefully another rally. Coming across, having a look at the Nasdaq, and very much the same goes here. It's a market that's run really hard and would probably benefit from some consolidation. The thing with consolidations are that they keep a market in balance, so they're an important part of the process. And then it lets them establish support at higher levels, and then from there, that opens up the potential of getting a base for further gains. So, like the SP 500, I think the play here is let those profits run. Just be selective with adding risk at these elevated levels. Getting in late and experiencing a pullback can be an unpleasant experience. So I'd like to just wait and see at this point in time. Now, if you're getting some value from this, please hit that like button, leave a short comment. Just hey, thanks for the video. Helps the channel heaps when you do that. Really appreciate it. Please do so, and yeah, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Now let's just wrap up with a quick look at the small cap. So at the Russell 2000, and the pullback in the Russell has been more pronounced than what we've seen in the SP 500 or the Nasdaq. It's already come back to that 50-day moving average, and you see you also see this type of pullback developing the S&P 500 equal weight, which is interesting. It's just not as deep as one we're seeing in the Russell. So it's really those big caps again, which seem to be holding the market up. And I think this is another reason for holding back on adding a whole lot of new risk to the market generally. Where the Russell is now, this is where I'd expect buying interest to come in if this market is going to get accumulated, going to get underpinned. And last year it was very much a story that each of these rallies was a distribution event. And if we're going to get a sustained rally in 2024, we need to see accumulation on this pullback. Unlike what we saw during last year, where each rally the selling came in and the market pretty much went straight back down. Is the market going to be underpinned here? Are we going to get the accumulation? Are we going to get the buy on dip? That's the key to this whole structure. And if we get that, well, then that's what potentially creates a platform for another advance. And I think when I look at this, when I step back and look at this overall structure, I think this can support higher levels into this year. But look, let's just see how this plays out over the coming weeks. So look, thanks for joining me. Been great having you with me. I look forward to coming back and talk to you next week. Till then, bye for now.